Hey everyone, welcome back. Zara here again for another fabulous episode of Style Drops. Today's style session is on whether AI is the next Martha Stewart. Let's take a deep dive into whether artificial intelligence can replace a woman who built an empire on teaching Americans how to fold fitted sheets and create massive inadequacies about their Thanksgiving turkeys. There is a question moving throughout the high streets and lifestyle media with increasing urgency. Is AI the next Martha Stewart? Can algorithms replace the woman who spent 40 years telling Americans that homemade is always better, that attention to detail matters, that you absolutely can make your own wreath from foraged materials, and if you cannot, well then that might be a personal failing on your part that you should really look into. So can a chatbot replicate the cultural force that convinced an entire generation that they should be canning their own preserves and ironing their sheets and creating elaborate tablescapes because it's a random Tuesday? But here's where it gets interesting. Martha Stewart built an empire, and AI is being built by empires. Martha Stewart has opinions, and AI has optimization. But let me break it down here. Whether your chatbot can actually replace the woman who made good things a trademark and homemaking a competitive sport. But before we can determine whether AI can replace Martha Stewart, we need to understand what Martha Stewart actually did. She was not just a recipe provider. You could get recipes anywhere. Obviously, cookbooks existed, cooking shows existed. She was not just a decorating expert. So what did Martha Stewart provide? Was it something else entirely? She made domestic competence aspirational. Because before Martha, homemaking was either drudgery, for example in your mother's or grandmother's generation. It was done resentfully to maintain standards. Then came the second wave feminism moment saying you don't have to do any of that, it is a choice. Martha agreed. You don't have to do that. But if you choose to, you should do it excellently, and with attention to detail, with standards so high that everyone else feels vaguely inadequate by comparison. She turned homemaking into achievement, and the art of making your own pasta wasn't a necessity, it was now a status. Along with having a perfectly organized linen closet, wasn't just functional, it was proof you had your life together. And of course, creating an elaborate Halloween display wasn't about the holiday, it was about demonstrating competence, creativity, and commitment to excellence. Martha Stewart made domestic life competitive, and Americans loved it. Not because we actually wanted to make our own marshmallows, because Martha told us to. It was about choosing to make our own marshmallows meant something about who we were as people. She sold aspiration. She sold an identity. But mainly she sold a promise that if you followed her instructions precisely enough, you too could be the kind of person who has their life together. So yes, AI can generate a recipe for homemade marshmallows. It can walk you through the process step by step. It can even adjust that recipe for altitude, dietary restrictions, flavor preferences. It can generate a shopping list. It can set timers. It can troubleshoot when things go wrong. What AI cannot do is make you feel like homemade marshmallows means something about your worth as a person. That was the entire brand of Martha Stewart. She didn't just provide information. She provided context, standards, aspiration, and of course judgment. She also told you that her way was a good thing, and this is the correct way. But mostly this is what people with taste and standards do. This is what separates you from people who buy store-bought. AI tells you, here are 17 ways to make marshmallows, and all of them work. Just choose based on your preferences. No approach is inherently superior. AI would even dare to say that store-bought is also fine if that's what serves you. Martha built an empire on the idea that there are right ways and wrong ways, and she knows the difference. AI operates on the principle that there are multiple approaches, and you get to choose based on your specific situation. This is not a small difference, this is the entire value proposition. Let's compare what it's actually like to get advice from Martha Stewart versus getting advice from AI. So, you want to host Thanksgiving? Well, the Martha Stewart way or approach. You will first need to make your own stock. From scratch, using bones you've been saving. The turkey will be brined for 24 hours in a solution you've carefully calibrated. Your centerpiece will incorporate seasonal elements you foraged yourself. The table linens will be ironed. Your place cards will be hand-lettered. Everything will be homemade except the guests. By the end, your Thanksgiving will be objectively beautiful, but you'll be exhausted, stressed, and quietly resentful of everyone who showed up and enjoyed it, without appreciating the 47 hours of labor you invested. This is the Martha Stewart experience, and millions of people chose it voluntarily. Now for AI's approach. What's your goal for Thanksgiving? Time with family? Impressive meal? Minimal stress? Based on your answer, here are 3 approaches, ranging from make everything from scratch to strategic store-bought with homemade touches, to order the whole thing and focus on being present. Here are recipes calibrated to your skill level. Here's a timeline that accounts for your available time. Here's where you can cut corners without anyone noticing. Here's permission to prioritize what matters to you instead of what's supposed to matter. This is the AI experience. Helpful, practical, and completely lacking in the competitive anxiety that made Martha's approach compelling. But not for everyone. There was not an aspect of domesticity that Martha Stewart did not touch. Everything was a level to personally strive for back in the day. She was the OG domestic goddess, influencer. No space was off limits, not even your closets. Hangers needed to be uniform. Wood, velvet or slim plastic, anything but wire ones from the dry cleaners. Choose one and commit. Clothes organized by category, then color, then season. Shoes in clear boxes with Polaroid labels. Sweaters folded using the museum method. Off-season items in archival storage. Your closet should look like a boutique. If it doesn't, you're doing it wrong. By the end, your closet will be objectively perfect, and you will be anxious about maintaining it, because one misplaced hanger ruins the whole aesthetic. AI's approach: how do you actually use your closet? Do you get dressed in the dark? Do you need to see everything? Do you have time for elaborate folding systems, or should we optimize for speed? Based on your patterns, here are 3 organization approaches. Choose what serves your actual life, not what photographs well. Again, helpful, practical, but most importantly missing that competitive achievement element that was Martha's entire brand. Here's what made Martha Stewart compelling, and what AI fundamentally cannot do. Martha had opinions. Strong ones and unapologetic ones. Store-bought pie crust. Unacceptable, Martha would say. And of course, demand someone to please explain why this was even a conversation to begin with. Wire hangers? Absolutely not. Plastic tablecloths? She established standards, and her standards were high. And if you couldn't meet them, well, that said more about you than about the person insisting on it. People wanted to be Martha, but what they didn't know was the army of staff that her brand needed to keep those delusions alive. But it sold, and boy did those false intentions sell. Her performative perfection was an industrial complex. She sold a lifestyle, and people bought into the illusion. That brand was armed with stylists, food editors, prop teams, and lighting specialists, all in the name of aspirational shame. People wanted to be Martha and her needed standards, instilling a competition, that I can do this better than my neighbor, or the anxiety that I'm failing if I don't do it the Martha way. The judgment was massive and still echoes today. AI brings no judgment, no standards, and no implication, just options. This makes AI more useful and significantly, but less compelling as a cultural force. Martha Stewart built an empire, with magazines, books and TV shows. Not to mention the hugely successful product lines that sold at Kmart, then other retailers when that relationship ended badly. The Martha Stewart brand meant something. It was all about attention to detail, classic American style, and elevated domesticity. Can AI build an empire? That is still to be determined. AI isn't building anything, but companies are building AI products and trying to monetize them. But there's no singular brand with a coherent aesthetic, personality, and an aspirational identity as of yet that can compare with what Martha created. Basically, SDS sees AI as a great tool. Martha Stewart was an identity. But you cannot build an empire on tools. You build empires on an identity, philosophy, and a great support staff. Neither are purely altruistic, but both have financial incentives that may not align with your best interests. The major difference: Martha was transparent about it. She built a brand and sold products under that brand, and you knew what you were getting. AI's incentives are murkier, leaving us with questions like, who built this? What data is it trained on? What's it optimizing for? Whose interests does the advice serve? At least Martha's conflicts of interest were obvious. Where yes, AI can provide information, instructions, recipes, organization systems, decorating advice, troubleshooting help. So AI is seen as a better resource, but Martha Stewart is a better brand. AI gives you what you need, and Martha told you what you should want. And AI helps you to solve problems. Where sometimes Martha created problems, possibly instilling the fact that you're not good enough, and then sold you the needed solutions to those problems. So maybe we're asking the wrong question. The question isn't, is AI the next Martha Stewart? The question should be, now that we have AI to provide actual helpful information, without judgment or branding or empire building, do we still need Martha Stewart-style aspirational lifestyle authorities? And the answer is, yes. Gail has seen AI images appear more frequently now, as the consumer grows even more curious to access another level of cyber intelligence. Though she has yet to see one of those design images featuring a before and after come in, 100% spot on. But this technology empowers consumers, because the consumer loves to feel that they have the ability to now master an area that before they left them feeling vulnerable or in fear of making the wrong choice with their interior selections. And let's face it, interior design is one area that brings more questions and uncertainty than confidence. But AI for interior design direction helps build a bridge to that possible needed awareness without judgment or vulnerability, by showing the end user what that space could look like. That is incredibly empowering to a consumer, but as AI will offer a great service. There will still be people that want to be told what good looks like, they want standards and guidelines, and some aspiration. But one thing that is abundantly clear: people want support and direction, not judgment. Simply, how do I solve this problem efficiently, so I can get on to another aspect in my life? AI serves that need better than Martha ever did. But even though Martha excelled at branding, some feel that we could use fewer empires built on making people feel inadequate about their Thanksgiving turkeys and decor choices. With that said, SDS looks forward to you stopping by again, and thank you for your likes, hypes, and especially for being a sub here on SDS. Ciao Bella!